And looks like everybody's landed. It's 1 o'clock straight up. So hear ye, hear ye. Let's call this meeting to order. So welcome everybody for joining today and tuning in here rather than the basketball tournament. That just shows your dedication. So thanks for that. Let's go ahead and we'll look at or review the meeting minutes. I think Marcia was able to send some of that out. Let me see if I can throw that up on the screen. And let's see if I can make that big enough. If somebody had a question. So this was the meeting in which we ratified meeting minutes and claims from our past meetings last year since we'd gone online. So you'll see a bunch of ratified minutes, ratified claims, and so forth like that. So any questions or comments on the meeting minutes?
No.
No.
Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion. Second.
And motion in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Say no. All right. Moving on. So next order of business is to look at the commission financial reports. We'll start with the monthly collections. So let me see if I can switch over to that. As you can see, during the first 2 months, we're certainly down from last year. Things really changed in collections during the month of April and severely so in May. So we're not quite to there yet. So we're not quite to that year mark for collections at this point. Marcia did note that there were several claims that came in after the cutoff deadline. And so unofficially, that was around $18,000 that'll be added to the March total. But that being said, we are down 35% year over year, which, hate to say, is not as bad as it was in the summer. At least from a standpoint of some positive sign of recovery, there seems to be at least some solace in that it's not where we were in the summertime. So any questions on the innkeeper's tax collection? This also does include short-term rental income as well too. Okay. Marcia did send out the December, January, and February monthly financial statements. I'm going to focus on the February financials since that gives us the most up-to-date totals. And you can see that the collections for the month of February are represented in the general fund at the top. We started 2020 with a carryover balance of $957,000. We did have 2 first quarter claims made out of the general fund at that point. So our general fund balance as it stands at the end of February is $658,343.93. And so that's our balance as of February 28th. We may have had more money come in since, and we will be making claims that have been proposed out of the general fund today. Moving down, the capital improvement fund. Last year, we had agreed to suspend contributions from the general fund into the capital improvement fund, or any transfers rather, until such a time where the fund started incurring some significant expenditures. So that remains at the 204,531 balance, which is what we carried over at the first of the year. And I don't believe we have a claim in this account today. The last one is the Convention Center Debt Fund. We did carry over a balance of $289,000. We have yet to make a claim, a monthly claim at this point, so we will be doing that today. And you can see that there has been rental income that has landed in this fund as well. Now, with this, and it's something we'll talk about in just a little bit during the claims, you may or may not have been on the call or have heard about the county commissioners going to the Food and Beverage Advisory Commission and asking to use $300,000 of food and beverage tax dollars to help with loan payments and also operating expenses for downtown Bloomington, or actually the Convention Center Management Company, rather. And so that was approved by the Food and Beverage Tax Commission. Additionally, that went before the County Council, and the County Council last month approved the expenditure of those funds for those two uses. So that is available to us, and have talked with the county about how to activate using those funds. And with their financial department, they have asked us to make a claim directly to their county fund. So that is one of those things we'll be doing today. So the claim for the loan that we will propose today will not necessarily come out of this fund, this capital or Convention Center debt fund, but will actually be made directly to the fund with the county for use of those funds. Does that make sense? So this balance today, although we'll be making a debt claim, it won't be against this balance. So this balance will still be there after that claim is made, if approved. So does that make sense? Any questions on any of the financials or where we stand in? Any questions on either the other 2 months for either December or January? Happy to talk about those if needed. I always focus on where we are more than anything else, more than where it is in the past. So. Okay. If there are no questions or comments, is there a motion to approve the financial reports as presented here today?
I move for approval.
Okay. Is there a second? Was that Tony said second? Yes. All right. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay, motion passes. Okay.
Mike,
Yes.
I have a question, sorry. At some of our other meetings, we've been told we have to do roll call votes if we're on Zoom.
Oh, I see.
And I'm not sure off the top of my head if that's applicable here, but would you mind if we did that?
No, I don't mind at all. So, Marcia, would you mind reading off the commissioner's name and then recording how they vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Kate,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. And for the record, can we go back and for the meeting minutes, could we record the roll call vote for that as well, Marcia?
Yes. And the minutes, Kate,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. Had to throw a little inflection there because you guys are, whew,
The
mercy.
minutes and the financials appear to be
right.
approved.
Terrific. Great.
Thank you.
Let's move on then. I will stop sharing my screen and we'll move to the Visit Bloomington report. And we will turn this over to Mike McAfee to bedazzle us with what the county is doing from a visitor standpoint. Take it away, Mike.
Bedazzle you, Mike. Hey, I want to let you know those games don't tip off until 5:10 p.m. tonight, so there are no games going on. And a young guy like you, Mike Campbell, you can stay up until 9:45 when the Michigan State UCLA game tips off. Because I'll be
there for the tip off,
man.
I'll be there for the tip off. How about that?
Right. No, thank you very much. I'll just get right into our report. I'll be brief. Obviously, we are following all types of meeting planner research right now. What we're seeing is 80% of event planners have events booked in 21. 60% believe they will return to pre-pandemic levels by the end of 2022. That's from about 10,000 planners in a survey we're following weekly through Smart Meetings. Groups here. I know Talisha and Jean will talk about this, and Laura's on the call. She can chime in with me, but groups here that we're working with, and obviously we partner with the convention center on most of the things that we're looking at. But they're booking. They are groups that are booking or are looking for fall 21 dates and beyond. Lions Club is an example. Just to give you an example, is one that we work with closely. They had a 2020 event that they've rebooked for fall of 23. So we're looking at timeframes like that as well. Fall 21 is very competitive. Everybody is following the research and looking at the trends and travel coming back strong in the fall, as long as there's no resurgence of the virus and all that type of stuff. In fact, it's competitive. We're even having trouble with dates in the fall for some groups. Indiana Council of Administrators of Special Education is one that was trying to rebook in the fall, but we just don't have the space for them. So Laura is working on them with other dates and other spaces. Obviously, we're closely following the Monroe County COVID-19 occupancy restrictions and all of that, and supporting those. We are working with the convention center. April 6th, we have a photo shoot lined up to shoot some stuff for future promotional stuff. Again, we're watching the timing of all that. We're hoping maybe in the fall we can do some stuff to promote safety and technology and hybrid meetings and those types of stuff. Smaller, regional, shorter booking windows are what people are looking for. That's Bloomington, always has been, but even due to COVID, kind of makes those strengths stand out even more. I know in my discussions with Mike, the union is looking at when they open and adding some technology for hybrid meetings and things like that. So we will be ready to market that and sell that when the time is right. Sports-wise, we do have a big event coming the last weekend of March. It's the Great Lakes State Basketball Championships, grades 3 through 8. We've got over 90 teams registered for that, 509 room nights on the books. Facilities and the logistics have been a challenge due to COVID. In fact, we're now at the point where we're probably playing most of the games over in Spencer because they can have more people in the gyms watching the games, and we're not able to do that in Monroe County, and that's fine. I mean, most of those teams will be staying here, so it is a nice piece of business. Can't tell you how much we're stressing with the client and how important it is to the client that it's a safe event, and they're doing everything right as far as masks and keeping everything safe. So again, I just want to reiterate, we're very careful about that. We were expecting it, but we were disappointed last week to see that the state high school track and field meet that's always been at IU in late May, early June is moving for 2021. We hope it's only 2021 and we can get it back. But again, that's due to not able to have fans in the stands, but it's very understandable. We do still have USA softball scheduled for July 29th through August 1st. and with the city at Twin Lakes. Again, most of the events, sporting events that we're working on are kind of touch and go, depending on the occupancy restrictions and things closer to the time. Certainly ones at Indiana University, water polo and larger non-traditional events that we work closely on are kind of up in the air. Probably won't end up happening in 21, but we're going to do everything we can to try to make them safely happen, as well as keep them for the future. Leisure-wise, we just launched our spring 3-day spring getaway campaign on March 15th, digital and social media. Where target audiences are couples, families, and friend groups ages 25 to 65 within a 6-hour drive of Monroe County. Already our web traffic is up 18% over 2020, but we're still far behind 2019 levels. We've had 500 page views of our deals page, 1,200 entries in our spring road trip giveaway. I had a couple samples to show you, but I'll just skip that. I'm happy to email that to everybody. Staff-wise, well, a couple more things about that. You know, we're being very fluid again with our marketing. We've got about $100,000 in media planned for spring and summer. Much of that is cancelable with one click if we decide that the timing's not right for that. Staff-wise, we opened the visitor center again on March 1st to the public. We've had tons of people coming in the last few days picking up March Madness masks. We had a new staff person start on March 8th. Alyssa Davis is our new content coordinator. She's fantastic. We're so happy to have her on the team. We have 4 interviews next week for our graphic designer. And we are currently still evaluating the convention sales position status. Again, we want to make sure we time that correctly when it's time to promote that. You know, again, worried about another surge, another strain. Lots of great things about spring travel and March Madness going on, but certainly the spring travel and March Madness happening all over the state of Indiana are going to be great case studies to watch. I think if they go well and there's not virus spread that can be traced back to those, I think those will be good confidence builders for travelers going forward. We did do, the market did do 7,576 rooms last week, which was an increase of about, I think, 681 rooms over the previous week. We are seeing slight growth like that. We do hope to continue to see that. I did want to tell you that short-term rental revenue, again, if you're not aware, if you want to ever see that month by month, you can find that on the Indiana Department of Revenue's website. January short-term revenue in Monroe County was $377,000, down from $416,000 in 2020. February was $475,000, down from $543,000 in 2020. So again, Airbnb and short-term rentals are doing about $500,000 in revenue a month in Bloomington right now. We did just do a co-op visitor guide research study with about 7 or 8 other destinations in the state, comparing our visitor guide to theirs with some focus groups that were done via Zoom by a research firm called Smari out of Indianapolis that we do, a travel research firm that we do a lot with. Our guide did very well. It was the favorite of one of the groups. Just a lot of good things said about it as far as going digital and articles and things like that. So we're paying attention to that research. Excuse me. We also just published our 2020 community tourism report and our 2019 economic impact report. Those are both on our websites. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time going over those. That's my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hey, Mike, I've got one. Do you have any feedback on how the hotels have fared with the March Madness packages this weekend?
Like I said, that we've had 500 clicks on our package website. So for over 500 of people clicking directly to those. But you know what, unless I call unless I'm talking directly to the hotel right now and they're able to look through and track those reservations, I don't. It'll be something we do a pickup report after the fact. Most of my things, right? I don't know if you read the article in the newspaper today. I was very pleased with the accuracy of the reporting by the Herald Times. So I got to give them a shout out. I have heard anecdotally from talking to a few hotels, they are picking up reservations from people saying they're coming here to check out March Madness. But, I don't, obviously you guys know, we've got 1,800 hotel rooms in the market. If we get 150 rooms, it's 10%, it's 10%
Right.
occupancy increase. It's a big deal, but it's really not that big of a crunch on the community. So again, we're not talking thousands of people in unsafe numbers, but as you know, a couple hundred people makes a nice little bump in this market. And that's really what we're rooting for, is to people to travel safely here and maybe be a part of, I keep saying safe March Madness, but Tony, I will, when I find out specifics and numbers, I'm happy to share those with you.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else have a question for Visit Bloomington? I had one for Laura Newton. If you could model that mask again, that'd be awesome. Woo! All right, perfect. No, we didn't want to see it from you, Mike, just Laura. So.
I just wanted to show the second color. I get
I
it.
got you. Okay, all right. Fair enough. So, okay, then no questions there for Visit Bloomington. We'll move over to the Convention Center and DBI.
All righty, thanks. And people have loved those masks. We've been handing them out when they get their vaccine, and especially the 70, 80-year-olds just loved them. So thank you guys for getting those out to everybody. Also, some good news. Outdoor dining was approved starting May 25th on Kirkwood and going through the end of June. And while emergency orders are in fact and COVID's in effect. So super excited about that. I think it adds a vibrancy in life and it allows the restaurants to distance patrons. Taste is going to be Taste to Go this year. I think we waited as long as we possibly could to make any types of announcements, but we'll do a week-long June 19th through 26th of, mainly a social media marketing campaign. Visit Bloomington helped with that so much last year, and it allows a way for restaurants to kind of get their name out. Then also some kind of good news on Gallery Walk. The way galleries are lining out this year, it's a mile of galleries from the Far Gallery at 4th and Rogers all the way to the Cook Gallery at Maxwell Hall at IU. And so we figured out it's about a mile. And so the Gallery Walk brochures will come out, and I think they're calling it Majestic Mile. And so it's kind of given some new life to that. And then we're continuing to do the vaccines through the end of April and the blood drives. We're doing some smaller corporate meetings, group gathering sizes still under 50, no bar service. People have to be seated. Very, very limited catering, box lunches primarily. And Jean will give us a little bit more update on that and our sales. But just as an update, the Napa building is empty now. So it is for lease. So it's 5,000 square feet. And we want to get that leased. And it'll probably for short term for a couple of years while we see what else might be going on. But that'll hit the bottom line about $35,000 net revenue for this year if we don't get that leased. Then there's been a few just odd expenses in January, February that we didn't have last year. Last year, our net income from those properties was about $149,000. And for some reason in January and February, there were just odd vandalism type issues and a roof issue. So on the property, so that was about $15,000 in expense that we don't normally have. Also, Joan and I are doing a staycation in April, so we're staying in Bloomington, Indiana for a couple nights, and so we're really looking forward to that vacation. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jean. She has a few updates as well.
Can I ask a quick question? Or do you want to wait till the
Yes.
end? Do you want
Yeah,
to wait till the end?
Either way's fine.
Mike, do you care?
No, you go right ahead.
I'm afraid if I don't ask, I'm going to forget.
Okay.
On the expenses that she was referring to, this might be a silly question, but when she was referring to the unexpected expenses due to vandalism, is that not something that insurance might cover?
It's a $10,000 deductible because it's all put together so that we get a lower premium. And it was on 3 different properties.
Okay.
I could double check that and see, but that was my understanding then.
Okay. I'm sure you know. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Somebody else had asked that too. And so we looked into it.
Okay. All right.
Jean, do you want to do any update?
I have my info ready, and I want to make sure that you guys can hear me because I'm not seeing anything. Somebody just, yeah, okay, good. Thanks, Mike.
You are echoing a little bit, Jean, at least on my end. So
Thanks. We are a year into this, mid-March to mid-March now, with the official declarations that were made in 2020 regarding COVID. And so I'm glad that there's finally some optimism on the scene with vaccines rolling out nationally, and people are finding all the ways that they can to implement safety measures and keep people safe, and increase confidence that it's getting easier to get together as long as you know the things to do and how to do them. So protocols have been really important here as well. It's something that I have covered with every planner who is even looking for events for future bookings. So for our events, here's how our business was affected by months in the year of 2020, with first quarter being the number of events by month. It was 31 in January, and then 50 in February, 22 in March, April and May, nothing either month. And in June, we reopened near the middle of the month, but just had a very few things happening here towards the end of the month. So we had 6 total things for June. And then for third quarter, it went 14 events July, 10 August, 14 September, 32 in October, so a little bit better, and then 19 and 22 for November and December respectively. I did a comparison of 2019 calendar year to 2020, which I felt like was the closest thing to get a relevant comparison. And our number of events went from 582 in 2019 down to 229 in 2020. And then we canceled a total of 294 events in 2020. Our attendance fell from over 73,000 in 2019 to just under 17,000 for 2020. So that was pretty considerable. Room rentals, 329,000 in 2019, down to 120,000 in 2020. We had cancellations there that were over $360,000 in room rentals. So looking ahead, in 2021, as of March 1st, we had 214 events booked for 2021, and then 60 events total. 4 that had been scheduled for 2021 have already been canceled. And in some cases, it had to do with the timing of their events planned this year and things not being back. You know, people were hoping that they might be, and so they just moved on into. So by and large, things for the year have the larger events that we are looking at now that we have on the book have been moved out to third and fourth quarter, which is really having the same thing that I'm hearing from planners all over the country. Things are just kind of on hold until picking back up in third quarter. We've had regular calls for events to put together much more quickly, like within a few days or a week sometimes 10 days. And that has made me really appreciate all the supply chain issues that have affected us as a country, because I have things like linens that have to be ordered and food and beverage orders that have to be placed, and getting staff to do room resets and so forth, and needing to have time to get a banquet event order out to a planner. And so it's really made me appreciate all the things that go into events with home supply chain. Any questions about anything about that, Melissa? Anything else?
So any questions for Jean?
Thank you.
Kate does.
Gotta unmute, sorry. So if we have, it's 214 events currently booked for 2021, and given just your experience with how far out people book, where would we expect, if things don't gear back up in terms of the virus, would we expect more to come in for this year still?
Absolutely,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We have groups now that are booking or planning on events here as far out as 2023.
Mhm.
However, even when the bigger conferences get filled into a calendar quarter, for example, there are still groups that have a shorter turnaround time that we can work with. A lot of them are local groups, and they just want to have a series of trainings, for example, that kind of thing. And they fill in everything.
Great, thanks.
Just to piggyback on that, Jean, I don't know if you're experiencing this too, but we do have some events booked, but are canceling almost as many events as we're taking at this point for 2021. So hopefully that's not the case for you, but I know it is for at least my location, that they're getting a fair amount of cancellations as people have held on to this point, and then they're having to release.
Yeah, that's happening, and a considerable amount of it is connected to the capacity limitations that we're following currently. So if somebody hasn't had an event that say we planned for 100 or 125, and we just can't accommodate that group together right now, we have done some things where we have split an event into a 2-day event so that we could maintain the distancing that is required for everybody's safety guidelines. That's not something a lot of people have done on. A lot of people just want to push that event out so they can all be together at one time. So it's gone into the second half of this year or even spring again for next year.
Hard to predict.
Yeah, well, it matters. Thanks so much.
Well, we may invest in an expense for the convention center for a crystal ball. I believe they probably sell those online, and it might be a worthy investment for this upcoming year.
And one that takes temperatures.
Thermometer, oh my gosh, that would be the charm of the year.
Yeah, hadn't thought of that.
Thanks so much.
Any other questions for either Talisha or Jean? Okay. Seeing none, I guess we'll let them off the hook. And I think the next thing on our agenda is claims approval. So I'll see if I can throw those up on the screen here. Just bear with me. Right. I've got Got to move this silly taskbar from the top of my screen somewhere else so I can actually get to moving tabs. All right, here we go. So the first claim we have is for Visit Bloomington, and this represents a half claim for the quarter. So Mike and his team have agreed that at this point, they're still looking at where the right advertising venues are and when to time that up. And so certainly we need these funds in place, but Mike has agreed to do a half of his normal claim or quarterly claim for this time frame. And as we ramp up, if the funds are available, we could potentially do more than a quarterly claim later on in the year. So the amount being requested today out of the general fund is $202,973, or I'm sorry, $973.75. So any question or comment on the claim?
Nope.
Motion to approve, Mike.
Okay, so Tony made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Natalie Walker is a second. Marcia, would you do the roll call vote, please?
Yes. Motion to approve 202,973.75 for Visit Bloomington second quarter operational funds. Kate,
Yes.
Natalie, of
Yes.
course. Tony,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. Okay. Claim passes. We will get this signed and sent off. The second claim before us today, also out of the general fund, is for first quarter professional fees for the administration for this Convention and Visitors Commission by Marcia Roach in the amount of $147.50. Is there any question or comment on this claim?
Motion to approve.
Natalie has a motion to approve the claim. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Marcia, would you read the roll call vote, please?
Yes. Motion to approve $147.50 for professional fees for Marcia Roach. Kate,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. Okay, claim is approved. Next claim before us today is for the quarterly loan payment for the land and the loan on the convention center upgrade we currently have. That's in the amount of $159,000. You'll notice this fund number is different. This is actually a fund number that goes directly to the monies in the county offices that were set aside for by the food and beverage tax. So this loan payment will be, as approved by the county council, will be submitted to that fund, which is 4932-30006.000.0068. So this will not come out of the CVC debt fund at this point. Any questions or comments on this claim? Okay, seeing and hearing none, is there a motion to approve this claim?
Motion for approval.
And is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second.
Roll
Mark?
call. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's all
Roll
right.
call to approve the loan payment of 159,000 out of the Food and Beverage Fund 4932. Kate,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Okay, claim passes. Our last claim, I believe, before us today is for the Convention Center Services for DBI for $82,668. This does represent a full quarterly claim. For those of you that don't know, a portion of the revenue that supports the Convention Center operation are the operating revenues that are generated from the operation, which have been greatly decreased. And there are still a lot of fixed costs that go on with the building. And so is the funds in that area are not at a sufficient level, there may be use of that convention center, of the food and beverage tax collections that could be used for operating expenses outside of what we typically approve. So at this point, we are going to go ahead and do a full quarterly claim, but we also want to get with the county to see how the funds might best be utilized for operating expenses, and we'll follow back up on that. So that being said, in the interim, we still want to make sure that the convention center is able to operate. And so in talking with Alicia, had asked for a full quarterly expense at this point. So any questions or comments on the claim or about what I just said?
Are we still operating with full staff at this point?
We've had 4 part-time staff that are no longer with us.
In our basket. You want to put it in the bag?
And we have 5 full-time staff. Myself, our controller, sales manager, event manager, and maintenance person. So we have 5 full-time, but our 4 part-time people are no longer with us.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm keeping in mind that we have weekend hours and night hours as well. So people are kind of all over the place on their schedules right now.
Good question. Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
All right. Tony makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Marcia, would you be able to read the roll call?
yes, roll call to approve $82,668 for DBI second quarter operational funds. Kate,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. Okay. I believe, unless I've lost count, that is all of the claims that are before us here today. The next order of business is listed on the agenda as a resolution. So I guess I should probably say what that resolution is. So because we've been able to divert a quarterly debt claim to the food and beverage fund that was set aside for that purpose, we have up to this point deferred for the first 2 months of this year, taking money from the general fund and putting it in the debt fund. I would recommend in the form of a resolution to defer transferring the monthly payments for the next 3 months at least, or for the next 3 months rather, because that money is actually being paid out of another fund and would allow us to build a little bit of a balance more in our general fund by doing that. So let me see if I believe I've got the resolution handy. Let me see if I can pull that up. This is something we're allowed to do. The balance on that would still be the same, plus any funds that may come in from the operation of the rental income. So those monies would still go in. We would just not be transferring from the general fund for the next 3 months. So this resolution, as we were trying to figure out how the logistics of the money would work, that had been approved by the county council, and quite frankly, we still don't have all of that worked out yet. This was done for the balance of the year through March through December 21st as it was prepared. My recommendation is to amend that, to do that from March, April, and May. So March through May of this year. So 3 months. So any questions or comments on that recommendation? Okay, that seem reasonable to do? If so, I would like to propose it as something which this body would vote on and adopt.
So shall I take a roll call?
Well, I guess the question would be, is there a motion to propose this as amended? And we'll send the amended form out from March through May of 2021.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Natalie Walker. Yes, Marcia, if you would now, please do a roll call.
Roll call for the resolution amended March through April,
Through May.
May, sorry.
That's
I
all right.
have that. Kate,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. Okay. Okay, thanks for that. We'll go ahead and make sure we're going to get your autographs on those, and so that we could put that into effect for the next 3 months. I think that'll help give us a little bit of, allow us to recover faster when we need to expend some funds to help the county recover. Okay, any old business, things that we haven't talked about before? Or rehash, or we need to rehash? I guess better way to put it. Okay. Seeing and hearing none, we'll open this up to public comment for anyone in the audience to comment about either what we talked about or something other related to tourism. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. I see one hand raised from Mary Morgan. If we could hear from Mary Morgan.
Hi, I'm Mary Morgan. I'm Advocacy Director with the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce. And I just wanted to thank you for having these meetings on Zoom so that they're more accessible to people like me. I appreciate it, and it's really informative and helpful to know what's going on in your world. So thank you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you joining today. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, seeing and hearing none. I think we come to adjournment at 1:50. Make sure to fill out your brackets before 5 o'clock today. Right? Okay, and just so you know, if any of you have basketball experience, I know IU is in the process. I'm not sure if anybody I see here qualifies, but
Hey now.
we do when we're sitting there on a recliner watching the game, that's for sure. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for joining today. Hope you have a good rest of the day, rest of the week, and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye,
Thanks.
guys.